Alright guys, how's it going? We got like a week until the modeling epoch, I believe, maybe. I don't know, I made that up. And what I'm gonna do here, if we can get it going, is I'm gonna run mainframe. There's still compile errors in my code. Disarm doesn't even work, all of that. But let's talk about how are things going right now in the code. Let's have a look at this. Um, Here we go, model editor. I don't know what to call it anymore, so I just called it model editor. We got some stuff that's still blank, so like let's fetch unit, we can fetch a footman. What do we got in terms of functionality here? We got some interesting things. We're gonna take a second to load. All right, we got ourselves a footman. So new and unreleased version of the software, right? We have mouse over. You mouse over one of these vertices, and you see a different mouse logo. I don't know if my recording software is good enough to pick up on the nature of my mouse, but we also have different selection functions, right? You can select by face. You can select by vertex group. You can select by contiguous chunk, right? So for example, if I click right here, this plane here is a contiguous chunk, but it is not its own. Oh, maybe it is its own vertex group. Oh, okay, it is its own vertex group. Well, let's look at the sword. The sword is two contiguous chunks, right? You can see sort of the part of the hilt right there. So if I'm in contiguous chunk mode, I can click on the sword and I can click on the hilt separately. You can see this like this piece here. So we've got several different selection modes. Someone asked for the ability to do a T-pose mode. We have move linked and move single. Let's try like moved single. I'm trying to remember how exactly this works. I think we got to turn on the nodes for this one. So you turn on like the arm. I think it doesn't work on helpers, so you have to use the light green ones. Basically, as you move one of these nodes, it'll move the associated geometry, but we're editing the actual mesh, right? So like if I then go then view the animations, it should be actually moved there. As far as that, there's also an animation previewer. I was trying to make this look as much like Magos as possible. It's been featured in some of my other videos, as you can see. Still doesn't do particle emitters, so I don't like that. We definitely need particle emitters. But we do have the Magos is terrible at camera-centric planes, right? So like if you have this paladin and you do like stand channel, Magos does not correctly make the plane on the paladin's hammer face the camera. I put some time into that. I got closer to Warcraft. I don't think mine is actually accurate yet. To some extent with that, I probably should go back and review Ghost Wolf's code, review how he does things, if that's still around and stuff. But so we're definitely making progress insofar as the realm of these little upgrades. I know if you download Matrix Eater from online right now, I forget if the old one had the ability to type in, if we need like Chaos Orc range or something, right? If you need a hidden model, you can load a hidden model in here. And I believe it will still also open. Oh, this is interesting. This drop down has a bug here. Yeah, all right. It'll also open the portrait, right? So we have a Chaos Orc range portrait. Sorry, my finger slipped there. So we still have opening and portraits and these other things because I was using the windowing system now to handle your layout, right? That I can say maybe I want this previewer thing on the screen at the same time that I'm working, so I could be like editing the mesh here, like moving his head around or something, and I want to be looking at like an animated preview, like what does he look like when he's standing while I move his head around. So I'm using the windowing system for that, so I have to use window to change which model I'm currently editing. So I've changed that, right? Here's like the footman. You can do like always loop like Magos, right? We have that in there. So I've taken some steps towards trying to get that to be as convenient as possible. As far as things that are still going to make people not like my software versus some of the alternatives, I don't yet have editing in 3D. I should have it. I just haven't sat down and worked out the linear algebra and then typed in all the code to make that happen. We do have the ability to turn various nodes on and off. Sometimes I find this system to be inferior to the one that the current publicly available Matrix Eater has. We have the various geosets, but I don't have a pin visible where I can pin a geoset visible and then edit things around it while I see it. So there's sort of this loss of functionality here, which is another reason I haven't published this, because I don't really like to have a loss in terms of feature functionality. We also don't have the ability to say show bones and nodes that are linked to currently visible geosets. We just have toggles on and off in this tree. This tree is a lot like Magos, right? There's definitely a convenience factor to having this sort of interesting tree and lets you see how things are broken down. But we don't even have right-click, move up or move down to like shift the nodes the way that you would in Magos, right? So I wouldn't really feel comfortable with that being as inferior as it currently is, but it is currently inferior. Added a preferences window, so you could switch to like wireframe and some of these other things, which there are already buttons around the program to do that. But you know, we can enable and disable the viewport grid line. So if you were someone who did not like the old grid lines, you could do that. You could also uncheck use boxes for nodes, and they'll start to be the way the old matrix eater nodes were, as these sort of little small, harder to see circular things. There's a colors theme editor, so you can say you want your pivot points to be like pink, like the matrix eater used to be. I'll probably have some way of publishing like default like themes or something for this. And obviously you could still combine that. You could say use boxes for nodes, and then you could just have like pink boxes. It's you know, these things are not hard to code, and so I want to empower my users to have however they want it to be, right? So this is color settings. You know, we got background color, vertex color, triangle colors, and I believe all of these work. Let's see if we can make the triangles orange. Yeah, see now the triangles are orange, stuff like that. There's still some colors in the program that are hard-coded. I don't really like it, but it's true. There's various things in various places. So we have that issue. Some people don't like when you're in this camera thing. I use mouse wheel click drag to move my guy around, right? And this is also true in my animated display. Magos prefers the right click to drag the camera, so you can now change that in hotkeys in here. So like now I'm using right click as opposed to mouse wheel click. So we have that. I started trying to work on the ability to make models from scratch, but it's terrible right now. It's terrible support for this. I don't like it very much. You can create a blank plane, a blank box, or an empty one. So like say we make a box. You can say your box has like 3 segments, and then here I have like a 3x3 segment box. I'm already annoyed that I'm using right click. I'm used to mouse wheel click as my drag here, so we're going to switch back to middle mouse wheel click to pan the camera. The box currently has no animations. Right, we have this. You can sort of click to draw vertices in. How do I turn that off? I think you turn that off by clicking this guy, this move button, which is weird. You can do face from selection, so you can make a face. You can drag. That was an accident here. You can drag around like these different views. I think we should be able to see the face I just created. Oh, I created it out here because I created it from the bottom. Okay, that makes sense. So we have, you know, face like that, right? I've added some right-click menus. Try to organize a little bit. We can, I think there's a flip face. Oh, maybe not. Maybe we got to go to tools. All right, tools, flip selective face. So now it faces upward, right? So you can do stuff like that. We have scale, extrude, extend. We also have this mesh basics has standard primitives I started working on. I was trying to, seeing if I could support models from scratch. It really doesn't yet. It really doesn't. So like I can say I'm going to draw some of these planes up here, right? And you can see that I start to do that. I can also put in boxes, right, which is kind of nice. You can sort of click twice, you know, click once and then click again and set the height, things like that. But even when I do this, still the geoset created is not attached to any node yet. I need a way to place bones. Right now, animation nodes, extended primitives, these don't even do anything when I go in those menus in there. There's a tools window here that's blank. That's annoying. I just accidentally closed the view controller. Let's see if I can get it back. Show controller. We'll try to put that back over here. So the windowing system should be configurable. Currently, it doesn't remember where you put things when you turn the program off and start it again. I'm sure that's probably going to be one of the first things people are going to ask for. Also, the standard primitives, they don't show the options yet. Like ideally, when I draw a box, I should be able to set. What happened to the width settings? You're supposed to let me choose the width of the box. It must be placing planes or something. Wait a second. Box. See, there you go. You're supposed to be able to click twice and set the width of the box. There we go. Anyway, so I can't set the box to have 3 segments like my starting box, right? It's missing functionality in that regard. If we do get animation nodes in here, which like the only way to get them right now, like we could go to like a farm toggle on the nodes and select, like, probably doesn't even matter. Let me toggle them back off again. Main beam. All right, here's something called main beam. Sorry, I'm still in Dropbox mode. All right, let me get out of that. Mesh basics move, right? So we're gonna go to this main beam. I'll just hit Control C. I'm gonna go back to foobar, this custom model. I'm gonna paste that main beam, and then I can set everything to assign to main beam. And now what I could do if I click on the animation selection up here, which is the one of these selection tools I didn't click yet, you can start to animate things. So I can go in here and say, let's create an animation of length 1,000. Let's say that it's non-looping and doesn't have any rarity settings. Or that's the name. Never mind. I typed the name up here. This is stand. This is stand animation, length 1,000. Sorry. Yeah, you can do that. We can also jump to custom time ranges and create global sequences. So basically, you know, it's good. You're supposed to have a keyframe at the start of your animations. We create one with the little create button. We can have an, you know, maybe over here we create one, and now we have an animation that goes between the two. If I go back to, looks like my animation preview got closed. So here's my animation preview box. And I think we also want the animation controller to go along with the animation previewer. Like now I can show the stand animation where the boxes move, right? It's non-looping because I checked the non-looping box. I don't know why I checked that. Stand should be a looping animation. But this is kind of where we're at with functionality. Now I don't really know, you know, anything could happen right now when Blizzard is making patches to Warcraft. They might make a patch that doesn't even use the same MDX format anymore. But as far as my stuff, if I save all of this, Warcraft models, foobar.mdx, right? I should be able to open this foobar MDX just straight in Warcraft World Editor. Let's see if I go to that. And we'll see if it works on. It looks like I had the public test up. It shouldn't be any different than the real game. We should be able to just import foobar straight into the game, straight from us working on it. But there's huge feature lacks right now. For example, I want a material editor like 3ds Max. So you hit M and it just opens the thing where you can set your textures. You can see what's loaded. You can add textures to the model. Don't have that right now. It's just literally missing. So there's a myriad of reasons why I have not like published this software currently. But in theory, it should stand true that we could just view this model, this composition of boxes that we would see, and it would, I think, should just work in Warcraft. Let's see if that is true. My documents, Warcraft models, and we're looking for foobar right here. All right, we're just going to save this map as foobar. It wants to save in the models folder. That's ridiculous. Warcraft maps. Okay, foobar map. Now let's save it again for good measure, because I don't know, maybe there's a problem. There used to be a problem with that. Something about JS helper. Probably not. Let's see if we can get them in the foobar model. So as you can see, this model, it just opens directly into Warcraft 3, like just directly into the game. My goal is to be perfectly compatible, compliant with Warcraft 3 itself, right? To that end, keep in mind, like, I'm trying to make this to be as convenient as possible. If you have, I think I can go browsers, doodad browser. Let's see where this opens up. So I can go to the world editor doodads, and I can say, maybe I want to have the camera prop, right? So we open the camera prop doodad. I'm still in animation mode, so I have to leave animation mode. We can select the camera prop. We can even select it by components, right? We could say let's get this camera portion here with like the two things on the top and not the stand. Go back to foobar and paste that on top of one of these boxes. Now, one of the issues here is when you drop in a pasted component like this, it pastes attached to its own geometry. So we can go back to like animation mode and try to give that thing some keyframes. We could do something funny with it. Let's say it starts and ends in the same place, but halfway through the animation moves up and down. Sure. We could confirm then with our, where's our second window? Windows Animation Previewer. Yeah, that the camera sort of floats up and down. And again, we strive to be perfectly compatible with Warcraft 3, so I'm just going to do File Save here and do a Replace in the World Editor, and we'll see, do I have the foobar model currently, or it'll work. What just happened? Sorry. Foobar MDX. Alright. Now, of course, the way that this stuff works, in order to actually reload the model, there's not like a reload button, so we have to change the load path here. So I'll do that, reload foobar, and now as we can see, let me make sure I push enter there, we have this camera that I've pasted into the scene floating up and down. So I guess the point I'm trying to make there, right, is that my goal, what I'm striving for, what I'm looking towards, is to be perfectly compatible with Warcraft 3. So this has been a video. The software is not available yet because it's buggy and these various things I showed you, right? I can't texture these white boxes to a different texture yet without like some really weird asinine like import from farm or something, right? And then I'd say, okay, we'll leave the various textures and try to like texture the farm texture onto there, which is ridiculous, right? Texture's white is by default, it's an in-game texture. Maybe I'll change it to human base, like now they all look really bad, and you have to go to the UV mapping editor, which is broken, it doesn't currently work. So there's things like that that are just absurd and broken right now, right? But you can see the goal I'm striving towards would be a program that just seamlessly integrates with Warcraft 3, and whatever Warcraft product Blizzard is working. I mean, they're doing something with Warcraft 3. They haven't really told us what they're doing, but they're making patches. So whatever they patch towards, I'm hoping to end up integratedly with that. But as you can see here, right, we're striving for visual uniformity between what does my previewer tell you you're working on and what are you working on, what does it look like. And to that end, making progress, right? We're definitely making progress. So, yeah, I think that's probably the end of my video. And I hope this sort of is informative for people on what is the current state of my code base. You can actually download this code and run it yourself if you have the software and the time. It's on GitHub, so you probably could find a link for that if you search up Rhedora's Warcraft GitHub repo.